Hey everybody, welcome back. We're sitting down at the Vice. We're really happy to have a special guest with us, Adam Vincent. Adam, good to see you.
You too, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. And Adam was the winner of our dry fly category, as well as the best in show. I'm gonna let Adam talk about this fly.
I've loved the ideas of spinners, especially summertime. So many mayfly spinners, and the fish just gorge themselves on them. This is kind of my baby pattern, and I have a look to it. But
no, that's great. We're excited to see it. So we're just gonna have you tie this, and as you go through it, let's talk through it. And
let's go. So we're first gonna start with a base. So this is just regular ultra thread. You can tell I don't use this a lot because it's old. We're just gonna start our...
Now what size hook were you tying this on?
Oh yeah, this is a size 12 dry fly hook.
Okay.
You can tie these, I mean, as small as you want to, really. The wing burners come as small as 20, I believe.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's
pretty small.
That's pretty darn small. Yeah, so we're gonna start with the tailing material. This is Coq de Leon, CDL tailing material, and that just makes awesome dry fly material for old dry fly tail material. Okay, and we want the tail to be about the same length as the body. And you can really adjust that however much you want. Some people are different, some like it a lot longer, some like it a lot shorter. I generally go the longer the tail, the less fibers.
Less fiber, yeah.
The shorter the tail, the more fibers is what I do. But you guys can do whatever you prefer. And this is kind of a little unique. Right here, we're actually going to tie into the back the ribbing thread. So I have a little material clip there that I hold it in, but you don't need that. So we're gonna tie this thread, oops. We're gonna tie this thread coming out the back, okay? Because once we're done with the body, this is the thread that we're gonna wrap forward. Okay, and so that will rest there.
Great.
And then we're also going to tie in 2 or 3, and you don't actually, we don't actually need to do this, but just to match the fly that I tied for the contest. This gives it that little false casing.
Sure.
The wing casing up along the back, yeah. And mayflies don't actually have those on their body. They have them where their wings are. They have that wing case where their wings are, but I did that just because I thought it would look cool.
Well, it did.
Yeah, thanks. So we'll get these. Had a few too many there. Okay, and we want to tie that pheasant tail material on the top of the fly. Okay, on the top of the
keeping it on the top of the shank.
The shank, yeah. Okay. So this material is going to come forward,
right?
And then this ribbing thread
will come
is
going to
secure it down. So right now is the easy part. This is where we just build up the body, and as I build, I try to just flatten this thread. And I'm right-handed. Left-handers have it real easy because it flattens as they wrap. But
yeah, right.
Where most of us are right-handed, you have to unwrap as you go. And I actually try to take this material, the excess, and I wrap it back on itself.
Oh, I see. Okay. Because it helps build that.
Exactly. It helps build that taper. Yeah. Because the body slightly tapers, sure. And where I can save, some thread. Not that I really care about that because I'm irresponsible with
penny pincher
amount of thread I use. Okay, so right here we're actually just gonna tie that off, okay, as if we're finishing that part of the fly. And you don't need too many turns for that whip finish because we're coming back over not just with one but with 2 other threads on top of that.
Gotcha.
Okay, and so you just pull that snug and clip that. So we're gonna hold it just like this. Okay, and that first wrap we want, here, let's actually twist this. And I twist it because whereas before we wanted the body thread to be flat. Yeah. Right now we don't want it to flatten. We want it to stay very stacked up on itself, the thread. So we're gonna pull that forward, and we're not gonna wrap tight yet because we wanna just make sure that this is a good position, and we kind of have to do this as we go, like so. Okay, and then pretty soon I can actually just come under like this with my non-dominant hand. get to the end. And we want to leave just a little bit there. So we don't want to go all the way to the hook, right? We don't want to crowd that hook. Crowding the eye is it's the ultimate fly fishing cardinal sin.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just tie that off, wrap a few to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and then we're actually gonna tie this thread off. And this is also just regular ultra thread. Or you can use whatever makes that nice look for you.
Well, and whatever color you're going for.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously these come in gray, dun.
Exactly.
So many different colors.
And you can do a really easy version, or I should say an easier version of this fly by just skipping the white and the wing casing all together.
Sure.
You can just do the thread color. You don't even need to rib it because the wings and the legs will still give it a good look there. So then we're gonna start, this is where we start with our GSP, which is gel spun poly something. I can't remember what it stands for.
Yeah.
But I use Semperfli Nano Silk. Here they have a brand.
Vivus.
Vivus makes some that's really good too. So we're gonna start that here. The nice thing about gel spun thread is that it does not build quickly. So for these small dries, we really like that. And it's also very strong. And as you guys will see here in a minute, we can split it and
dubbing loops
and put material in it. So I just check it as I go. We're looking pretty good there. We don't need to do this. Most of the time I tie this fly, I don't do this second wing casing, but we'll do a second one just for kicks and giggles. And this will actually also help the, whoops, it wants to go down there. This will also help these plastic wings. That'll help them fold down as we bring it forward.
Gives them kind of a platform.
Yep, and this doesn't look as clean right now, but we'll clean that up when we get to the end. Okay, so yeah, once we tie in our wing material and legs, we'll wrap that forward to give it that casing. So right now we tie in our wings, and I can show you how to make those wings. So for the wings, we use this plastic. This is pre-made stuff. I was telling these guys that I got this from Norway, and you can find it now, just not this brand, or you can use basic wing material that you can find in most places. But what we're gonna do, and I double these up so that they're stronger, because that plastic will actually weld together. So we've got a pair just like that. We're first gonna pinch it with our burners. Okay, and then we're gonna cut out a rough shape for this wing. Okay, and we'll let that second half fall just like that. Okay, and you don't need to get super close. In fact, I wouldn't stress it a lot.
Yeah, because the burning process will really clean that up.
Yeah,
right?
but you don't want too much.
Yeah.
Because then once you burn, the edge doesn't look as natural as an insect wing. And then it's as simple as, okay, and it always develops a little point, so I just tap that. That'll come right out just like that.
Welds them right together. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that looks like a little mayfly
that looks
wing.
great.
I don't know how well you can see that. We have a slightly dull side and then a sharper, darker side.
Yeah.
And since this fly's wings are pointed down, or I guess pointed up, you'd also have the dark side outside. So I think it's pretty much the same however you go. So we're gonna tie this straight up, just like that, okay? We don't need to do too many wraps. We can just do one or two because there's gonna be a lot of wraps on top of these. Let me just trim this really quickly. Boom. Sometimes burning those wings gets those little knobs at the end, and we don't want those. So just a couple's all we need. So we're at this point. We're gonna of course trim the excess down here. And then before I do the last piece, I like to just
get that thread right up there.
just
clean it up.
Clean it all up there a little bit. This is where we split the thread right down the middle and do its legs, those really lifelike legs that are in the picture. Okay, now remember, thread, like everything, as you tie it will twist. And so we're untwisting this, because what we want is we want this thread to be flat, to be completely untwisted. And a way that I can gauge that is I lift up the thread slightly.
And if you see it
and
open up,
if I see those fibers open up and spread out like a fan, I'll know that I'm about there. And a lot of times I'll do this and then lift it up, so I can tell that it's twisted that way still, so we do that. We get to a point where, oh, there we go. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so we've split that thread right down the middle. Now that's a little uneven.
Well, so I think you got 5 on one side and 6 on the other.
Probably more like 3 and... Okay, so that's split about in the middle. Now for this, I would not use anything thinner than 50 denier.
Okay.
In fact, if you're starting out, I would use 100 denier.
100 denier.
Yeah, with this technique, because it's a little bit more difficult to learn. So you can use anything to save the place of that split.
Right.
You want to save the place of the split,
right,
because when you have your material in your hand, you can't find the split again. No.
Yeah.
And you also don't need to do this, but we're going to just lightly wax this a little bit. That's going to hold the material in while we twist it. Okay, so right now I just leave that like that, and I find a patch, or you can use whatever patch of hair that you like. I like deer hair for this. It's still hollow,
right?
But it gives you that really buggy look. Elk is good too. Elk is just a little bit thicker. So generally, before we trim it after we stack. But where we're dealing with something small here, I trim a little bit off of the end before I stack, and that just makes it so that when I put it in here to retrim again,
yeah, you don't have so much.
I don't have it.
Yeah.
It's not going to pull the tips out, which is what we really want. And then we're going to get a good little stack there. Can I kind of wiggle it so it naturally spreads itself out there? And what's important here is you want to keep keep that thread tight. You don't want to lift the spool up at this point, because it'll let go of a lot of that material. Now, before we trim, okay, I'm just gonna do the right length that I want, because every fly is different, right? And sometimes you want more, sometimes you want less.
Sure.
We're gonna do about that much. Okay, and to trim this is also can be a little headache sometimes. What I do is I twist my bobbin like this upwards while maintaining that downward pressure.
Keeping the tension on it.
Yeah, so that nothing's in the way of my scissors as I trim. And I'll hold this thread with my index finger here and turn it a little bit if I need to turn it. Man, those hair scissors are really nice for things like this, but okay, and then while not letting go of that tension, now we just twist. Okay, and once you get to a certain point, you can really just let it fly. And
yeah, because you want the loose stuff to kind of come out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of collateral damage with this type of tying. So, and I tell people, I'm like, if you lose part, like when you take patches of material to put inside threads like this, you want to plan that you're going to lose some of it.
Yeah.
And in the end, and this is kind of a rule that I live by in fly fishing, less is usually more.
Yeah. Okay, so in my fly tying class, that's what I tell everybody with dubbing, right?
Yeah.
What's the rule with dubbing? Less is more. Yeah.
And I will tell people too, like when I'm dubbing things, it's almost better. It's almost better to
have to put a little more on than try.
Yeah, it's almost better to have to do multiple times, and work your way down than have it be too much.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're gonna pull that taut. What I've done is I've done one wrap in front and one wrap or two wraps.
Two wraps behind.
Yeah, and you can alternate it however you want. Sometimes it'll be heavier, sometimes it'll be thinner. Okay, then we're gonna split those wings just like that. And I pinch. Oh, we got a little. Yep. And this plastic it's pretty hardy stuff, but you don't want to be.
You don't want to be.
No, yeah, you don't want to be too hard on it. But then, so it looks just about like that.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're gonna take our wing casing, pull it forward. And that really, like I said, that
separates it and lays
keeps the
those
wings flat
down.
as well as the material of the leg material here. In fact, before I do this, because we're about to tie off, you guys don't need to do this, but I usually, when I'm working with tiny flies, reposition right at the end. Because
keep that thread from going off the eye.
Exactly, yeah, because dry fly hooks, the eye is pointed at a 45-degree angle down.
Yeah.
And so that keeps it so that when I'm tying these really close flies with material close to the eye, that I don't either crowd the eye or slip off of it as I'm tying. So we're going to take some of that material and pull it back away. That just makes it a little bit more easier for us. And we will have to trim some of it too. Okay, but then we're just going to come up real softly. And before you wrap a ton, this goes for a lot of things. I pull the material. You see how I'm kind of like repositioning it right where I want it. Okay, and then I'll do 1 or 2 more wraps of the material. Okay, but we don't ever really want to tie off with any material over the eye. So what I'll do is I'll tie a few down and then I'll lift everything up, bend it backward, and then tie off right in front of the eye. And that keeps a lot of the material away from the hook of the eye of the hook. And like I said, there's a lot of collateral damage with this, and you know, if you're going slower at home, it can be a little bit easier, but okay, we can lift up the wings for this. We're just gonna tie this off right now. You can use your fingers or a whip finish. Okay, and we're whip finishing with that same thread. Okay, and I love this GSP because it takes a lot of that material away from the eye. But when I'm tying off with GSP, I don't pull down, I pull back. Yeah. Because it's so strong, it'll pull a lot of material away from that hook eye. So we'll just go straight back. And with 50, sometimes it breaks, sometimes it doesn't, because 50 is not that thick. And I'll even do a second, just to be sure. Okay. And we, other than a little cosmetic touches, will be about done.
Ready to throw it.
Yeah, and I leave a little head on that. You can make that as big as you want to. Pull these guys back down. Looks like when I was pulling, pulling away from that eye, I flattened out some
But the beauty of this though is that those legs, that deer hair really gives us a buggy look, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like the fish are sitting down there counting the number of legs, right? This just really looks like a spent mayfly.
Yeah, and we lost some of those legs there, but I'll move them forward just like that, move some of these forward. And this one will probably want to hit a drop of that super glue. But yeah, it really, I mean, bugs have 6 legs each. If they're the true bug, right? So insects can vary, but so it's not a lot of legs. Here's our super glue. And so this is just really simple, like Loctite liquid. And I just put the tiniest drop right up here, just like that. And I'll usually use something that's not my finger to flatten that.
I'm stuck to it.
Yeah, you can tell I've learned. Okay, and then we don't have to do this, but it really helps the longevity of this fly.
To do the underneath.
One more really tiny dot underneath, just like that. You can barely see it. And then I do use my finger here, and I just do it fast, so that those legs do get locked in.
Yeah,
there.
perfect.
And then that is our fly.
That is a great looking fly. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's how you tie the Vincent spinner. Great looking fly, Adam. Super glad to have you here today with us, and super interesting to watch. I always seem to learn a lot as we watch other tyers or see other people do stuff. Just very interesting process. So thanks for being here. And as always, everybody, come into our store, shop online, we'll get you set up. We'll make sure you get all the right materials and get you on the water.